And if you've forgotten all that, give us a call during movie hours at 365-0200 or our 24-hour show info number, 365-7900.
1580 103.3 WPKY. Good morning. It is 8:08. It's still pretty chilly out there. Supposed to get up to 42 today. And, you know, it was slowly creeping up there. It's about 38, 39 right now, 38 right now. And we are joined this morning by Caldwell County Extension Office Shane Bogle. What is your I always forget y'all's titles. I'm so bad at that.
I actually have you a sheet with all that out. And I have not brought that to you yet. No, with all of our titles.
Oh, I got you. Oh, yeah, because this does not have
that. Everybody's big on titles these days, but Agriculture and Natural Resources Education is my exact title.
So actually this one says, so it's from you, so it says Agent for Agriculture and Natural Resources.
That's right.
So your title is on here,
yes.
but everybody else's isn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah, give me
I've
that.
got it. I just can't ever remember to bring it to you.
But see, then I have to remember to pick it up before I start talking, and so that's wherein lies the problem more than anything.
Well, titles are hard to learn.
They are, and
none of ours are short.
I was going to say, some people have such long titles that I can't hardly get it out.
It's still better than an acronym.
Okay, yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, good morning, Shane, and thank you so much for coming in at the last minute.
Yes, it's first day back from the break, and lots of stuff going on. We have a busy winter ahead, especially for our farmers and education things that's coming up, and most importantly, our tobacco settlement phase 1 money is here and ready to be distributed through the CAPE program. So we're going to spend most of the time today talking about that, because most producers will have got my newsletter. We did see it in the newspaper over the holiday break. And the Caldwell County Cattlemen's Association will be taking applications for the 2018 CAPE program, County Agriculture Investment Program. And it says 2018, that's when we started it. So the year is kind of a misnomer. Don't worry about that. But we do have close to $100,000 to administer this year in cost share funding. And producers are encouraged to come either January the 14th or the 15th at 6 o'clock. Either one, we're having what we call our educational sessions. And we will explain the rules of the program, hand out applications to producers. Applications are going to be available for a 2-week period from January 14th to the 28th of January at 4:30 at close of business. At our office is the deadline to turn those in, but you'll have that 2-week period to decide what you want to do. And our eligible investment areas, it's a ton of stuff. It gets bigger every year, and producers can do everything from building grain bins, redoing a hay barn, building a hay barn, technology for a new computer system for the farm office, just tons of stuff. There's actually 11 different areas. Agriculture diversification, farm infrastructure, can buy bulls or heifers to increase the beef herd. Fencing, any on-farm water things. Important thing for us is to get water to our livestock that's out on these farms. Can help expand that. Most of our folks around here do know the rules of this. It's been around a long time, but it is a $2,500 cost share. So the farmer spends $5,000, they get $2,500 of that back if they are eligible and their scores. So we will take an application, and after they'll fill that out, there's a certain score that's attached to what your answers to these questions are, and the top scores are the ones that's taken. Producers, like I said, this has been going on. I've been here 16 years, and we've done this just about every year for those 16. So this is directly tied to the Master Settlement Agreement. You may have heard that in the late 90s, early 2000s. Was a lawsuit that the burley industry lost. They had to pay the state of Kentucky back a certain amount each year, and our General Assembly graciously let half of that money go back to the farmers in the form of these programs. So it's been going on a pretty good while, and a lot of money invested back into the agriculture infrastructure of Kentucky. Every county kind of does it different. Every county's got a different amount of money. Some got hundreds of thousands a year, depends on how much burley tobacco was produced when that happened. So Caldwell was a fairly large burley producing area, so we still get a sizable amount of money each year to administer in these type of programs. So again, that's on the 14th and the 15th for those education meetings, and those are important for anybody interested, because if you just come in and get that application and you're looking at it, the website is just page after page of eligible cost share items, things that are not allowed. And if you don't come to that meeting, you're not going to know what that is, and your chances of getting selected for that program are less. So we will help you fill those applications out that night. Again, the Caldwell Line Cattlemen's Association are sponsoring that, so they'll be the ones that's putting on this education meeting. We will have applications there, answer questions. Those usually last an hour or less. It depends on how many questions folks have, but there's some websites that you need. My newsletter is available. It is on our extension website. We have information on the road sign by the road as you're coming into town, and I did see this in the paper. So if you have questions, call the extension office at 270-365-2787. Otherwise, show up on the 14th or the 15th, either one, at the office, and we'll go through this program.
Okay.
It's complicated.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
It is very complicated, but the investment especially for smaller farmers, and this is big to help, and it's kind of designed to help beginning farmers, younger farmers, struggling farmers that are not as large as some of our farms are, to help, for somebody coming right out of school that's wanting to get started in cattle. This is the difference between them having a nice bull or, some nice heifers to get that herd started as going to the stockyard and just buying somebody else's problem. So there has been a lot of benefits that's come from this program, and we did a report a few years ago. I did an article on the dollar investment in just this county alone. It's in the millions of dollars of infrastructure that this has helped promote and made producers better at what they do, made life a little easier, especially when you're talking about working facilities and things. That's kind of an afterthought for a lot of farmers is, hey, man, I'd rather have this nice bull than have a loading chute that I can safely handle this animal. And somebody ends up getting hurt, or farmers laid up for a while, and or an animal gets hurt or something. So these kind of programs help make life just a little easier and get the infrastructure of a farm up to where it needs to be to keep people safe, keep the animals safe.
So how, on average, you said you've been there for 14 years and it's been going on ever since you've been there. Are there a lot of people that get turned down for the assistance?
I can't say a lot of people because it is though competitive. So if in the earlier years, it was, and it's changed and morphed over the years where it's evened out across all of agriculture. But in the early years of that, with that being tobacco money, tobacco producers ended up getting a lot more because their income was from tobacco, and directly that money come out of their pocket at one time. Well, over the years, that's kind of morphed into beginning farmer, young farmers, diversifying farmers that may be going out of tobacco into another, like horticulture crops or back into beef production or something, as long as it was agriculture related and contributed to the ag economy. And I've seen that change over the years, that in the early years, your list of tobacco farmers was always at the top because their tobacco income. Well, now it's farm income, not tobacco income. So we do see a lot of specialty farmers get that. So I'd say 75% of those that have applied over the years have got funds through these programs. And it's different. Somebody that gets it this year may not get it next year because they've changed the scoring and changed how you qualify for it.
Now, this particular one is just for cattle farmers?
No, this is for all farmers.
Farming.
Yes,
okay.
this is for any agriculture. We've a lot of grain bins, a lot of upgrading of dryer systems and things for grain has been got with this money. So yes, it's for all farmers, not just beef, not just hay, not just grain, not just tobacco. It's all. Last year or the last round, I do remember several of our cut flower businesses and horticulture businesses, vegetable producers that got some of that money and upgraded some of their facilities to help with that. So yes, all of agriculture, if you're interested in that, if you have a farm serial number, so you do have to own a farm, own or rent a farm that has to be tied to your Social Security number, and you're eligible to apply for those funds.
Yeah, so that was going to be my next question. Who is even eligible to
so
even think about
the farm serial number is how they track where, if you're doing a certain project, if, say, you want a working facility on your farm, how they would track that is your FSA number is the physical location of where that working facility is going to be built. that's tied to your deal. So when we go to inspect that, there is regulations that follow with these money. So when we go to check, we make sure that it's on that farm, that farm is in your name. It can be a rented farm as long as there is a 5-year rental agreement in writing from the landowner that you are leasing that farm or leasing that piece of property for this project. That is eligible too. So a husband and wife can't apply for
separately.
the same.
Yeah, okay.
They can't. That's using the same farm serial number is for one person and one social security number, basically. So there are some rules that go along with that. Most people know that hasn't changed a lot over the years, but like I said, that's why those meetings on January the 14th and the 15th are so important, is we go through that kind of stuff, because we hate to get an application in and find something, somebody's come to the meeting or filled out an application and they don't have the necessary information. They're automatically at the bottom of the list. And actually, if it's not completely filled out, they're actually thrown out. So, yeah, lots of rules to filling out. It says read carefully, answer every question. You leave questions blank, it's incomplete.
Wow. Okay.
So
kind of like taking one of those tests in school. If you leave one blank, then they throw the whole thing out.
Yes. Imagine some people need to follow the rules.
I know, right? I mean, gosh, when they start that stuff? I tell you. So now we just had the legislation passed recently with the hemp part of agriculture, I guess. How I'm trying to say that. But anyway, have you seen a lot of, and this is, I'm just thinking, people who are going to maybe want to start some hemp farms, and I don't know what it's like in this area, but have you had many people contact you about?
Yes, I've had several, a lot of folks see that. The production side of this is where university has done a lot of the research to go along with the hemp production for the Kentucky Department of Ag. So it's kind of been a backwards little deal. A lot of the folks had their marketing and had contracts for companies with this before we were ever contacted. So a lot of times we're kind of coming from the back end in extension that says, hey, I've got this contract. Now I need my soil right. I need to make sure this land is suitable. And I have had a major uptick in calls for that, soil tests and things, questions about that program. And, new things are changing. That legislation is brand spanking new, so there's going to be some changes. The last time I had talked to Kentucky Department of Ag, there was, from last year to this year, a 400% increase in applications to grow it before it was in this legislation. So we're going to hear a whole lot more about that over the years. Well,
I know Mayfield's getting a huge processing plant.
Lyon County, one in Dawson.
Right.
So, yeah, we're going to see a lot more of that.
Right.
A lot more of that coming in.
Is this area, it seems like when the hemp discussion first started a couple years ago, stuff that I had seen or read or whatever indicated that this area wasn't the best for growing it. Is that incorrect?
Well, I don't know. Not necessarily, because if most of the tobacco is grown in this end of the state, especially our dark fired, because the soil is so good. So, again, this has been, from an education standpoint, we've been kind of behind on learning. This was grown in the 20s and 30s, and nothing had been done in all these years. So it's kind of been a hurry up. I think we're going to do this. How do we grow it?
Oh, right.
Might have wanted to have done that first.
Yeah, exactly. Sure.
So we are learning a whole lot about production, and that's what these last few years of these pilot programs has been about, is kind of getting the kinks out of production worked out. But the better the soil, the better a crop is going to be.
And I think the stuff that I read wasn't even just so much about the soil as it was the climate.
Well, climate now, when we're dealing, and that's another thing with a new crop, a tobacco crop, we know this is the most humid place you can grow. Tobacco thrives in it. But we do have disease issues and things that we have to worry about, but we have a chemical arsenal that makes that doable. Well, in the hemp, we don't have a lot of that knowledge yet of, the first couple of years of a pilot that we had here in this county, there was no weed control options. Well, weeds like humidity and warm climates also. So it was, you're working backwards forward. You've got a crop standing there full of weeds. What are you going to do with it? Get a hoe and go out there? So I think they will be getting a lot of those things worked out. And our climate, when you're dealing with humidity, you're just dealing with so many diseases that's coming up from the south, and Kentucky is a hotbed for disease.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I mean, I've never tried. We can't even grow a garden on my soil. So I don't even try. I tried maybe the first year, and then I'm like, no, I can't deal with that. My husband's tried he'll try every 3 or 4 years, and I'm like, it's all yours, honey, because I'm not dealing with that. But so I don't know much about, growing and what it requires and all of that. But for somebody who's wanting to start something new, it sounds like what this program offers is right up that.
Yes, and hemp, how it fits into some of these would be in that agriculture diversification. And we do have funding limits in some of these areas. With this program being administered by the Cattlemen's Association, they have a little bit of a say in the level of funding that goes. So some of the areas like bee production and horticulture crops, they get half the amount of cost share money. So a $1,250, a producer would spend $2,500 and get $1,250 back. So the Cattlemen's group kind of puts a priority on grain, beef related things at $2,500 and the others. So there's still money for everybody, just not quite as the dollar amount. And you think about the ticket items for a grain farm and a grain facility is a lot higher than buying a horticulture, a new plastic layer or a cedar or something is a lot less expensive. So they kind of have prorated that down in regards to what costs the most.
Sure.
And it costs a whole lot to build a working facility and fence a farm to get ready for livestock, where a flower producer needs some seeds and maybe a garden tiller. So we're talking about a little bit less. So with it being the cattleman, somebody said, well, why isn't that worth it? I said, well, the Cattlemen's Association is sponsoring it. They're going to favor the livestock.
Absolutely. That's why I asked, a little while ago, is this it specifically for cattle, or is it for all? And so when you
and how this money works, a group with a tax ID number has to sponsor this. So the farm bureaus, the conservation districts, extension districts, people like the Cattlemen's Association that are 501c3 nonprofits. So you as an individual could not say, I'll help get that program started. It has to be a sponsoring group. You have to be bonded, and there's legal requirements and reporting requirements. So most people see that amount of work on the reporting end. They're, oh my goodness, I don't want to mess with that. But we do have good volunteers with our Cattlemen's Association that believe in this program and have kept this going for a lot of years now.
Yeah, it sounds like it. You said 16, right?
Yeah, going well. And in the early days, it's a little different now. In the early days, there would have been multiple groups in the county. I can remember the Cattlemen's Association, when I first started, was doing the beef things. Farm Bureau was sponsoring fencing, and Conservation District was sponsoring seeding of pastures. So it was, then they combined all these to what's called the CAPE program and rolled it all into one just big program. We're one group. So it's been a little bit more work for that group, and they don't get anything out of it other than expenses of the bonding and things like that. So it's definitely a labor of love for our cattlemen giving back to the community to sponsor a program like this, because it's not easy.
Right. Okay, I do have a couple more questions. We need to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
The holidays are over. Time to undeck the halls and head to the Home Depot Store More Save More event, where Sterilite 64-quart latching storage boxes are a special buy at just $7.48 each. They're stackable and clear, so when next season rolls around, you can see what you packed away. But right now, time to pack away some serious savings. The Store More Save More event, now at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through February 4th, available in-store and online while supplies last.
Here's your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast.
Look for cloudy skies this second day of the new year. Highs are going to be 42 today. Cloudy overnight with an overnight low around 32. Tomorrow's going to be sunny. Highs only going to be around 44 tomorrow, though. Partly cloudy tomorrow night with an overnight low around 34. Rain is likely on Friday with cloudy skies, high getting around 46. And Friday night, there's a 40% chance of rain continuing with an overnight low around 35. Again, cloudy skies today with a high of 42.
Your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast is brought to you by Kay's Kitchen. 1580 103.3 WPKY. We're all about keeping you informed with 4 local newscasts every weekday. We've been informing Caldwell County since 1950 with local news, local sports, and local weather. We understand local because we're locally owned. We understand that local radio is the cornerstone of any vibrant community. We invite you to join us for local news each weekday at 6:30, 7:30, noon, and 5. We are committed to serving Caldwell County. We are 1580 103.3 WPKY. You can also find us at WPKYonline.com.
The legend lives on. It was more than dance moves, more than lineage, more than a sequin glove. It is and always will be musical magic, the king of pop. This weekend, we're featuring the best of MJ and the Jackson 5 on the Magic in the Music Weekend.
The new GMC Sierra is here in 2019, the most sophisticated luxury truck on the road today. In 2019, they've released the AT4, the ultimate off-road vehicle for off-road enthusiasts and hunters alike. The AT4 comes with a factory-installed 2-inch lift and off-road wheels and tires. In the front of the pack is where the Denali with the 6.2-liter engine, followed by the SLT and SLE trim levels. More refined styling and badging has added a bold appearance to the most sought-after vehicle in the truck market. Trice Hughes Incorporated, Highway 91, Princeton.
1580 103.3 WPKY. Good morning. It's 8:29:39. We've been talking to Caldwell County Extension Office Agent Shane Bogle, and I'm not going to try the title. I'm just going to abbreviate it right there. About the, tell me one more time. The
Phase 1 money, CAPE program.
CAPE.
Yes.
Okay. And Shane, we were talking during the break, and just briefly, because we do have a couple more guests to get to this morning. Talk to me about this money. It came from a lawsuit. So is there an estimated time when this money is going to run out? Did they say, you only get this through here? Is this money continually invested? How does that work?
So multiple states was involved in this lawsuit tied to the amount of burley production that was. So over the years, burley production across our state has went down. So the funds have went down. It was contingent on the amount that's produced, number one. So Kentucky is the only state out of all of those that was in on that master settlement agreement in that original lawsuit that invested part of that money back to agriculture. The Governor's Office of Ag, Kentucky Governor's Office of Ag Policy was formed with that money that is administering that. So part of those funds went to the Kentucky General Assembly. Well, all of it went to the state of Kentucky, and they said, this is agriculture money. This is an agriculture issue. We're going to invest at least half of that money, which they have done and honored that. Kentucky was the only state that chose to use that money. Everybody else just went in the general fund and went for roads and salaries, infrastructure, whatever it was, but Kentucky wasn't. So they have honored that for 16 plus years now. So, but burley production has went down, so the amount of money that there is no cutoff date on when that money's coming in, but if the General Assembly said, we're flat broke, Kentucky, you've had half this money all this time, we need it for this, because we're talking millions and millions of dollars a year. But they have honored that so far. We're a heavy agriculture community, agriculture state, and I think they see the value and the return on investment to that has been great.
Props to Kentucky for recognizing that.
Exactly. I have been in other states at meetings where they have mentioned that, and they're like, man, y'all are a leader.
Yeah.
In that, we wasted our money. We have no idea where it went.
Right.
So,
okay, Shane. So you said there was one more thing you wanted
to
mention.
Yes, UK Winter Wheat Meeting for our wheat producers, January the 8th, from 9 to 3 at the James Bruce Convention Center in Hopkinsville. So any wheat producers interested in wheat research, what's been going on we'll be talking about economics, production. That will be, again, January the 8th from 9 to 3 at the James Bruce Convention Center in Hopkinsville.
Do you have that address?
Do not have that with me, but it's out on the Fort Campbell Boulevard. Most people knows where that nice Taj Mahal meeting facility is, but the Winter Wheat Meeting has been there for several years now in a row. So, again, January the 8th.
One more time for the CAPE program, the dates and the time. And the locations.
Yep, the 14th and the 15th, we will have 2 education meetings at 6 o'clock. Please come, because applications will be starting to be handed out that night. They will be available at the office from then all the way to the deadline to turn those in the 28th of January. So please come to those either the 14th or 15th. You pick. Be the same program each night. We'll help you. We'll give you applications, and you'll be ready to go.
And a number they can call you if they have any questions.
270-365-2787.
Excellent. Thank you so much for coming in today, Shane. Shane Bogle, Caldwell County Extension Office. You are listening to 1580 103.